kwacha to each one of you here. And then I say, after a year, please come back and give an account or show me what you've done with your money. Some of you will not pick my cause. Because the main issue really may not be the absence of the capital or the money, but it's the mindset. The mindset. I worked for an organization where we were giving money to citizens. You'll be shocked what some of these people were doing. Going to America to go and watch wrestling. Someone gets a loan to do this, immediately you fund them, you get on a plane to go and watch John Cena in the US. So the moderate risk ones is mutual funds, real estate. Real estate is property, corporate bonds, and we talked about these, I think, last time. Then the high risk ones are stocks, cryptocurrencies, or startup investments. So stocks are shares. Okay, it's exchange traded funds. Don't worry about them. We'll talk about them in future when we grow up. So crypto, you must have heard about crypto. They are very risky. Please don't get in there unless you are very certain. So startups, one of the greatest inventions of mankind, in my view, apart from medicine, is the creation of what we call a limited liability entity, where you can come as human beings and go and incorporate a company and it becomes a person. How many of us own companies? Very good, very good. So you understand what I'm talking about. So that's one of the greatest inventions of mankind. In fact, without this, we would not have had the Industrial Revolution. So it's amazing that people can sit and then register a company, it becomes a limited liability, and this thing becomes a person in the eyes of the law. It can talk, it can go to the market, it can buy, it can sell, it can enter into contract. That's what we see today when you talk about ShopRite, we talk about Zambeef, we talk about all these things. So this is one of the highest risk options, but they give you the highest return ever. So one of the things we should consider as we look at creating wealth is setting up companies that can engage in various ventures that are available. And usually you'll be encouraged to look at solutions to problems that people are facing around. And when you create that entity, it begins to provide solutions to those issues. And then you'll be able to earn money and you become rich. Let me talk about the regulatory landscape for investment. Please know that the investment space is regulated. Don't just go in anyhow blindly. You're going to be swindled. About 2-3 years ago, one of my young brothers in the village called me and said, there's this business in town which has opened. If you take 500 kwacha today, after a month, they're going to give you 2,000 kwacha. A lot of people are getting money. And people were queuing, they were taking. And he was begging, please send us some money. We want to participate also. So I asked, what do they do? No, we don't know what they do, but if you take that money, then they give you more money. I told him, that's a fraud. It's a pyramid scheme. And he was upset that I didn't give money. About 2-3 months later, he called me and said, people are crying here. One day they just woke up, that place was closed, and it was even in the news. So some of those guys were arrested. So please, you need to be aware of this. So we do have financial sector regulators. There are 3 of them. The Bank of Zambia, number one, the Bank of Zambia regulates the bank and financial services. So anybody who undertakes banking services, anybody who does financial services like microfinance and others, they're supposed to be licensed by the Bank of Zambia. So if you hear that there's an investment option that is available and the blah, 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 ask for a license. If they don't have a license from the Bank of Zambia, don't go anywhere near. Then you have what is called the Securities and Exchange Commission. This one regulates the capital markets in Zambia. It regulates the issue of buying shares and selling shares and companies issuing bonds. So they have to be regulated by these guys. If they are not, don't go anywhere. So this is where you find collective investment schemes, the shares, and also the corporate bonds. The first one also facilitates, the Bank of Zambia facilitates the issuance of government bonds that we talked about where we do invest. The third one and last is the Pensions and Insurance Authority. This is an entity that regulates pensions and also insurance, and they are related to investment as well. Okay? I won't go into so why are they called low-risk investment options? Perhaps I should explain a bit. So like for government bonds, you have reliable, stable returns of income. So when you buy a bond, as an example, you'll be receiving coupon payments or interest payments every 6 months. The money will come rain, come sunshine. Every 6 months, the money will do what? It will come. So you are certain. And you have lent money to the government. And in theory, we say that governments do not fail. But in practice, we know that they do fail. So you have that stable income that will come because government does guarantee payment. But the risk that you have here is the risk of inflation. So inflation has got a tendency of eating up into the value or the purchasing power of the money. Fixed-term deposits also, you are sure that your money will come no matter what. But there are certain instances when financial institutions go under. Not too long ago, I think even last week, we saw government taking possession of certain financial institutions. So you need to be aware of the risks that are associated with these institutions. Dividend-paying stocks also, you receive regular streams of income, but sometimes it can be a bit tricky. Moderate ones, the collective investment schemes. So when the money is put together, put in one pot, so they will run sometimes what are called diversified portfolios. So they will put the money together, and this money will be invested in shares, in bonds, in anything. So it's a mixture of those things. And then the goodness is that there are specialized people who are skilled and they are running these institutions on your behalf. So the investment is run by people who have very good knowledge of what is happening. So you are certain that your money is being managed very well. Estate or property, it's a long-term investment with a very good growth potential because usually property appreciates in terms of value. But you should be aware on the downside of repairs and maintenance. So you get rental income that comes every month or on a quarterly basis. But the challenge is that if you have an emergency today, for you to be able to sell your property and get that money back, it will take a long period of time. Corporate bonds, I didn't mention that these are bonds that are issued by companies. The return would be higher. Normally what they do in the interest that you'll be getting, there will be a margin above the rate for the government bonds because you are assuming higher risk. So the high risk investments, the issue of shares, potential for high returns is very high. but also the risk is very, very high. In fact, for young people, this is a space where you need to be, because you still have a lot of space for you to. So the way they move is they are like this. They fluctuate, but they are going up. The value is going up, but they are fluctuating. So when you are investing in this, you need to have patience. You need to wait for a long period of time. If you want to make money tomorrow or the other day, this is not the space to be. Okay? Crypto, I will not even talk about crypto because there's no regulation at the moment by the Bank of Zambia. Go into it at your own risk. Startup investments, this is the space where we may need to be also as young people. Let's learn to start up businesses and be able to make money out of those. Now, they're very risky as well, because statistics show that 85% of startups burst within 5 years. We have brilliant ideas, but when you are given the money to start implementing, you begin to see that things are not as rosy as they appear. But once you go through that 5-year period, you master the business, it becomes very easy for you to achieve the returns. And once you are here in this space, you become wealthy. Indeed, and we have examples of young people that have become very wealthy right here in Zambia and also outside the country under this space. Okay? So some of the risks you need to be aware, the market risk, inflation risk, liquidity. I will not talk about longevity for now. So all of us would be getting rich if there was no such thing known as risk. And it's very simple. You see, like right now, there are rains that are falling. Last year we had a drought. The risk-averse farmers did not plant this year. They said, I'll just plant a bit. Then the rains have done what? Have come. And those who planted are going to harvest. So there are certain things that can affect your investments depending on the space that you're in. Inflation is that thing which erodes the purchasing power of the money. What was 100 kwacha able to buy 10 years ago may not be able to buy those things today. So it's because of inflation. So if you are receiving, for instance, if you invest in a bond and you are being paid 2,000 kwacha every 6 months, and that bond is 15 years, in 10 years' time, that 2,000 kwacha which was able to enable you buy certain things, in 10 years' time, that 2,000 kwacha will be pocket change for some people. So also avoid overexposure to high-risk investments. These are common mistakes that you need to avoid. Then you need to diversify. Let's look at quickly, as we are not, time is against us. Let's look at a story in the Bible. In Matthew. Which chapter in Matthew? The story of talents. Where do you find it in Matthew? How many of us have heard of the Matthew effect? Okay. Story in the Bible of a rich man. Matthew chapter 25. On a long journey. Okay. And he's caused how many servants? How many servants? 3 servants. And these servants are given unto them talents. And since we are investors, let's call that capital. They are given capital. And that's one of the challenges that we have today. So they're given capital. The first one was given what? The first was given 5. The next one was given what? 2. And then the other one was given 1. And then he went to a faraway country. Not so. So in investments, a faraway country, that's a long investment horizon. Because there can be no investment without time. Okay? Because investments is about time value of money. There can be no investment with time. So he went to a faraway country. And so they had time to invest the money. Then after the Bible says, after a long time, he came back. And the Bible also records that the first one traded the talent. Other versions will tell you that he invested the money. So he traded. The second one also traded. We know what the third did. So when the owner came back, he asked them to give an account. When the first was called, he said, "You gave me 5. I traded." Please pick that word. I traded, and I got another 5. Here is the what? The 10. He called the second one. "Likewise, you gave me 2. I made 2 additional ones. Here is the 4. He called the last guy, and he said, "I knew you were." I want somebody to read that. Matthew chapter 25.
Matthew 25, verse 17.
Yes, please.
"And likewise, he who had received 2 gained 2 more also."
Go to 18.
18. It reads, "But he who had received 1 went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money."
Then go to 24.
Okay. 24 reads.
24, 25, and 26.
Okay, 24 reads, "Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, 'Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed.' 25, "And I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours." 26, "But his Lord answered and said to him, 'You wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed.'" Even 27?
Yes, please.
Okay, 27 reads, "So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest."
Okay. So quickly, there are a few things that we can pick from here. The last man said, "I was what? Fear." He was risk-averse. Those guys were trading. This man was too careful. He was risk-averse, and the best thing he did was to dig and keep the money in there. But what the master says is that at least, what's the least thing you should do? As an investor, what's the least thing you should do? On the investment options that are there, what's the least thing you should do?
Deposit the money in the bank.
Yes. You should know that when you take money to the bank to let it sit there, that's the least thing expected of you. The least. The least. And I showed you on the rank of the investments. That's why you get the lowest return as well. Putting money in the bank is just lying there. So fear leads you not to venture out, and you not be able to realize your potential as an investor, as a child of God. You need to venture out in faith, but with calculated risks, and go ahead and apply yourself fully. Because God requires us to multiply our talents. The challenges that we have, we don't have air cons here. We don't have a church outside there. It's because there's no money in here. But is it true that there's no capacity to generate the money? Because your lack of money doesn't mean that God did not give you the capacity. You're just living below your potential. And this punishment which is being pronounced here is worth of you as well. Let's just read, we see what he says. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and lazy servant. So putting money in the bank account, failure to put money in the bank account is failure to generate wealth, failure to dominate, failure to multiply is equivalent to wickedness. It's equivalent to wickedness. Being lazy is equivalent to wickedness. Because he said, at least you should have taken the money to the money exchangers. They would have given you interest. Therefore, his talent, whatever he had, was taken away from him and given to another one. And that's the Matthew effect. Those who apply themselves, the Lord blesses them with more. Those of us who just sit idle and do nothing, even the little that we have is taken away. And verse 30 says, Cast this unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. When you look at the level or depth of punishment which is being given to this man, by the way, he didn't lose the money, did he? He didn't. He gave him the same one kwacha which he was given. But because of the failure to obey one of the first commands, go and multiply in Genesis chapter 1. And also the Lord knew that there's inflation. So he was thrown in the dark where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. All of us here where we are, especially as young people, we have been endowed by the Lord. If you look at this story when it starts, it says that they were given according to their what? According to their capacity. So it's not that he didn't have capacity. They were given according to their capacity. So young people, we have been blessed beyond measure by the Lord. All of us, each one of us has been blessed. Our duty is to identify what those talents are, what the Lord has given us, and learn how to multiply them, and venture out and go ahead and invest. So we need to ensure that we do interact with people, we are on the lookout, we see what is happening, and go ahead and do investments, either through actual investing direct or, earning active income, or it could be earning passive income through other spheres of investments. The story of I have no capital is true. Money follows those who respect it. Even here, if you have a brilliant business idea and you say, go to Amo or Docas and say, I have this business idea, income is assured, bring the money will come, believe you me. I can tell you that without leaving, a few people from this church Just 2 weeks ago, a few people from this church saw here, and there was some amount of money which was needed, close to 1 million kwacha. And those few people found that money. They found it. So, what has the Lord blessed you with? Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Remember Solomon, where he starts from. He asks of the Lord, and the Lord blesses him with that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and he applies himself, and he is blessed beyond measure. So let's not hoard ourselves. Let us read. Develop yourself, develop the capacity. You have phones now, there's YouTube, but you are there just watching a song. Those old songs, and people are dancing. Forward, they're going forward, forward, you're going backwards, forward. Are you aware that your life is so short? Are you? I could have shown you a chart here, which will show you when you're going to die. I'm in the pensions industry. As we even plan for people's death, we say this year, these people are managing, I think about 10 of them will die. You will die very soon. And you have limited time. So for you to spend time to do things that do not add value to yourself as a young person, you're wasting life. You're wasting life. So I'd like to implore us, please, let's spend time on looking at business ideas, on learning from people. Talk to the elderly. I don't know whether I qualify to be elderly, but there are a lot of mistakes we have made, and we can help you to navigate through life so that you don't make those mistakes. I think we're running out of time now. So that would be sorry, we are not able to demonstrate the opening of the account. I'm hoping that in future, the youth leader, some of these things that we talk about, they should not just be theory. When we say open an account, the next time we should be asking how many young people have opened an account. If you want to invest money, how many people have opened a S.D.A account at the central bank? We check that and we see, we begin to monitor so that next time when we are speaking, we'll be bringing one of you here to demonstrate how you have applied some of these things that we have learned. There's no other way. Please don't go to a witch doctor. I know I have heard stories of people going to bath in the middle of the road, they climb a tree and they are cutting it falls. Don't do that. Just develop yourself. Read essential things and learn from others, and you'll be able to play the critical role that the Lord wants you. The Lord is about to come, and our mandate is to ensure that the message goes out. And without resources, we cannot do that, and we're relying on you as young people to do that. May God bless you. Amen.
What do you say, church? Before you sit, I'll take advantage and assume the pastor is not yet in the vestry. But if someone can maybe help us check just to see if he's there, would appreciate. I know you could have covered, but just to be clear, I think there were some questions that were asked. Are there hidden costs that we have to look out for when we look at some of these investment options, especially shares, that I should plan for? So if I'm about to get some bonds, are there certain hidden costs? Do you have any tips also in terms of me knowing which mutual funds or which village banking accounts? Like, how do I join? Do I just trust anyone? Maybe just quickly with that. And if we still have space, we'll request communications team upstairs. If Alex could help us just prepare that small clip. Maybe we can look at that small clip as we wrap up on the Ant story.
Thank you so much. So I think some of the associated costs would be for government bonds. There's no cost per se, except that on the interest that you'll be getting, there's withholding tax 15% and a 1%, what do they call that 1%? there's a fee for 1%. So whatever income you get, you receive it less 16%. So at the time of payment of the coupon, they charge you 15% of the coupon. And yeah, it's called a handling fee of 1%. So that's all. For the shares, when you're buying or selling shares, you need to go through a broker, and the broker will charge you a minimum fee. And the fees would vary from broker to broker. Please go on the Securities and Exchange Commission website. You'll find the licensed brokers there, and you can contact those, including the collective investment schemes. So for the collective investment schemes, they also charge you a minimal management fee. But the goodness is that that management fee it caters for all those people that are invested in that pool. So it becomes a small amount. Again, those amounts vary from collective investment scheme to another. Again, you go to the Securities and Exchange Commission website. They need to pay me if I were to mention schemes. So you can go there and check and you'll find them. If you need specifics in terms of guidance, we can always point you to go and check this and you'll be able to see. Those are the minimum fees that are there in terms of that. If you can play the video. It's a very short story in the summer because winter is coming. Don't waste your youthful life by not preparing and developing yourself, because winter is coming when you get old and you'll not be able to reverse some of these things that will happen to you. I hope it will bring good lessons to us. Thank you.
self-explanatory, isn't it? Don't buy anybody. Store it in investment. Has extended an olive branch. We've come to the end of this session, but she's available to give us tips and guidance, and we are sincerely appreciative for that. So let's take advantage of his availability. And also, I think it would be good to have positive bragging on J's. If you open a CSD account or buy bonds or do some creative investment, there's no harm. You can post on the youth platform so that we can encourage each other and learn from each other. Amen? Okay. So we've come to the end of our program. Thank you all for joining. Just to also emphasize that on the 15th of March, it's GYD. And as Jacaranda will be going to Kamwala prison, so all youths are welcome to join us. And if you've got any donations, it's a male prison, please feel free to get in touch with myself or Brother Samuel, Sister Tracy, Brother Costin. And then thereafter, we begin our Youth Week of Prayer. Details are going to follow through the social media platforms. We are also making t-shirts, so you can please see us. Right now, we're working at $150. Hopefully, the cost will come down lower. So you can get in touch with us or even call Sister Liseli. She'll be able to support us online. Can we please rise for a word of prayer, even as we hand over to administration? We'll ask Brother Musakavala to please come forward and pray for us.